Hi, I'm Bahaia from Austin Belly Dance Studio, and today we're talking finger cymbals. Finger cymbals are an integral part of this dance, and they're often known by other names, such as zills or zagat. But today, we'll just keep it finger cymbals. We're going to learn about choosing your finger cymbals. We're going to assemble your finger cymbals, and we'll also talk a little bit about the storage and cleaning of your finger cymbals. I teach finger cymbals even from the beginner level because they are such an integral part, not just of the dance, but of the movement in general. And if you learn to dance and you learn to dance well, then you add your finger cymbals. Students have found that a lot more challenging than if you learn to dance and play finger cymbals at the same time. Let's get started with choosing finger cymbals. I have some examples of finger cymbals that might have been purchased at a Halloween costume shop or maybe on Amazon, and I'm going to just strike them so you can hear the sound quality. It's not very tonal, it's a little bit clinky. And then I'm also going to play another set of cymbals that have been just pressed out of pieces of brass. Again, they don't have the greatest sound quality. And then I'll put my finger cymbals on so you can hear a better tonal quality. So we're going to choose finger cymbals that are of a good quality, and that means going to a reputable supplier. I do sell finger cymbals here in the studio, and the brand and size that I prefer for students here is from Turquoise International. It's called the EB, which is 2 1/4 of an inch. These cymbals are a thick gauge brass that have a nice little filigree pattern around them. And you'll note that they have 2 slots in the top of each finger cymbal. And that's what we're looking for. Cymbals that have only 1 slot, this set is maybe a more ceremonial set, something that might be used for a religious practice that would have a long string attached rather than elastic on our fingers. And the single hole does not lend itself to the control you need to be able to play the finger cymbals cleanly and clearly. So we're looking for finger cymbals that have 2 slots and that are either from Turquoise International, which is the brand we sell in the studio. I also like a brand called Soroyan. Soroyan Mastercrafts have great quality products as well. For a beginner, you're going to look for a finger cymbal that's about 2 to 2 1/4 inches. That is a good size to get you through many years of playing. Any smaller is not the greatest because the smaller the finger cymbal, the more action your hand has to make. But if you get a finger cymbal that's too large as you're starting out, your hands don't have the strength and dexterity needed to control them. So around 2 to 2 1/4 is ideal. And I just want to add one more thing. When you're choosing your finger cymbals, you don't need to choose a color tone to match your costuming. For instance, I love silver jewelry, but I don't choose my finger cymbals to match my jewelry. I choose them based on the tone. And the silver finger cymbals often are just an onlay of a silver finish that will rub off over time. And there are ones that are silver through and through. Those are called German silver finger cymbals. And what I found is that the tonal quality is a little bit higher in pitch, and it's just not my favorite. I love silver jewelry, but I choose brass finger cymbals. So now let's move on to putting your finger cymbals together. There are a lot of different ways to put your finger cymbals together. Today, I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite tips. Some people feel very passionately about one way or another, and I'm kind of in the middle. So let's get started. You're going to need to have elastic. An elastic may be included in your bag. If you purchase from the studio or from Turquoise International, your set will include the 4 finger cymbals, a little case, and a length of elastic that's more than enough to handle all 4 of your finger cymbals. You'll also want to have scissors thread and a needle. And if you have a couple different colors of thread, I'll show you why that might come in handy in a minute. I like to have some puff paint or glitter glue also in the process, and maybe some very tiny safety pins. So these safety pins are two different sizes, just based on whatever the thickness of your elastic might be. I have ones that are about 3/4 of an inch and others that are about 7/8 of an inch, but you'll see that they're not much bigger than my fingernail. Let's get going. The first step is going to be to cut 4 pieces of elastic. And I cut these pieces about 3.5 to 4 inches each. Use my tape measure to make sure. So I'll cut 4 pieces of elastic. And then I'm going to cut 2 more, just so I have some extras in case I mess up or when I need to make a repair, I want to have the extra pieces available. You're going to take the finger cymbal, and from the top, I'm going to thread the elastic through the top. And this elastic is about 1/2 inch wide, but the slot in the top is about 1/4 of an inch. So you really got to work to get it in. Sometimes cutting your elastic at a sharp angle will help you get just the start that you need to pull it through. So what you're left with is a loop at the top and the pieces of elastic coming out of the bottom. Our finger cymbals are worn on our thumb and our middle finger, so I'm going to start with the thumb today. I'm going to place the elastic somewhere between the quick of my nail and my first knuckle. And I'm going to pull the elastic tight. So tight that it doesn't fall off of my finger when I let go. Then I'm going to, with my other hand, pinch underneath, remove my thumb, and the first method we're going to learn is with a safety pin. I'm going to take the safety pin and I'm going to first pull that all the way through. So now there's no more loop at the top, but I have marked with my fingers where I had pinched before. I'll go in both pieces with the safety pin and then out both pieces with the safety pin so that you can see the safety pin coming through on one side and there it is closed on the other. Return to the top, pull it through, and then I test it. Is it still as tight as it was before? Feels pretty good. So you want to be able to shake your hand and have the finger cymbal not fall off. This is because we don't want to lose our finger cymbals. We also don't want our finger cymbals to go flying across the room at someone's face or into the mirror at the studio. So a nice snug fit on the cymbal is good. After I've done that, I'll take my thumb out again, and when I'm confident that it is where I want it to be, I will cut off the excess of that elastic. I'll move on to the next fingers, but before I do that, I want to show you one of the ways that I mark which finger cymbal is which. Here's where I'll take the puff paint or glue, and I'm going to put a little dot. I'll just mock it today, but I'm going to put a little dot on top so that the end result is my thumbs have a little dot of glue at the top, and once that's dry, it's an easy and quick way to know which one is sized for my thumb. The middle finger is going to be the same. You're going to want the elastic to rest between the quick of your nail and the first knuckle. And I will take a little break here as I put these together. All right, now I have all 4 finger cymbals assembled with safety pins, and I'm going to play them really quickly. They have a nice stain at the end, don't they? So I cut off the excess of our elastic, but I didn't cut off so much that the safety pin is in jeopardy of falling out. I cut off just enough so that it wouldn't interfere with the sound of the finger cymbal. There are some people who prefer to use needle and thread instead of the small safety pin. And there are some people who even believe that it impacts the sound of the cymbal itself. I'm not sold on that 100%, but you can be the judge yourself. So if I were going to assemble the finger cymbals using needle and thread, I have a couple little tips to share with you. I'm going to start off the same way I did with the safety pin. I'm going to thread the pieces through the top to make the loop. I'm going to pinch underneath, or put it on the finger first and pinch underneath, pull it through, marking where I'm going to sew it. And the kind of stitch you want to use is called a running stitch. I'll drop a link in the comments so that you have a tutorial for doing a running stitch. But essentially you thread your needle and put a double knot at the end, and then you're going to sew through both thicknesses of the elastic a couple times. And then I always wrap around each edge a little bit so that there's a fully enclosed edge of the elastic. So with the running stitch, one of the fun things that you can do is you could use different colors of thread. So for instance, on my thumbs, I might choose to use white thread. And on my fingers, I might choose to use a different color. So let's say orange today. That way, when I get my finger cymbals out of their little bag, I know right away which ones go on my thumbs and which ones go on my middle finger, just based on the color of the thread that you might use. I always put a couple extra safety pins and a couple extra lengths of the elastic in my bag, because whether you've sewn them or pinned them, there's a chance that that could fail over time. And so you want to have a little handy repair kit ready to go. So you've learned one way to tell the thumb from the finger symbol, that you can use a little drop of glue to put a dot on the top. And you've learned another way, which is to use different colors of thread if you're choosing to sew the finger symbols together. You could also use different colors of elastic. So you could use black elastic for the thumb and white elastic for the finger. They even make really fun colors of elastic. What I found is that this type of elastic may not hold its stretch quite as well. It doesn't stretch as much to start, and then it seems to fail a little bit quicker. But some people really like to be fancy, so I thought I'd show you that one too. Your finger cymbals should be stored in some kind of fabric. I'll tell you right away that I don't like these little organza bags. I feel like they let in so much air that your finger cymbals begin to tarnish quickly. Even though the look of tarnish can be very cool, the problem with tarnish is that it eventually starts to leach in to the material of the finger cymbal and cause damage and distort the sound. So we want to make sure that we keep our finger cymbals in a fabric bag that doesn't let in quite as much air. So you might find a little zippered bag or a cotton pouch or any other kind of velvet pouch that might come with some jewelry or, any gift. But when you get the ones from the studio, they're going to come in this little bag that's a muslin bag, and everyone in the class is going to have this bag. So if you plan to keep them in this bag, my advice is to put a bead or maybe a little letter bead with your initials on it. For instance, this bag has the letter T on it, to make sure you know which bag of finger cymbals is yours when everybody is busy getting ready for class. One of my favorite bags has an individual compartment for each finger cymbal, and this is a really simple pattern of a rectangle that's folded in on itself. It's felt on the inside, and each finger cymbal has a little pocket to go into. It has a button closure. And I'll show you how I nest my finger cymbals in. I'm going to put 2 of them face down and 2 of them face up so that they fit into each other. And this is a nice way to keep your finger cymbals in a little bag like this. Shout out to my student Teresa, who made this bag for me a few years ago. I still love it. So you're going to keep your finger cymbals out of your hot car, especially if you're here in Texas like I am. The heat of the car is extreme and can cause a change in the tonality of your finger cymbals. Side note on that is that if your finger cymbals get out of pitch for that or any other reason, excessive play can sometimes get them out of pitch. Look on YouTube for a tutorial on how to bake your finger cymbals in the oven. There's a technique of baking your finger cymbals that's supposed to restore the sound quality. But if you take good care of them in the first place, you shouldn't need to do that for years and years and years. Storing your finger cymbals properly is just as important as fitting them properly. So make sure that you take that into consideration in the care of your finger cymbals. Okay, so now we'll move on to cleaning your finger cymbals. And you might ask yourself, how often do I need to clean my finger cymbals? That's going to be a you question because it's going to depend on how you've stored your finger cymbals and if you are really into the look of a tarnished or a cymbal with patina. So when your finger cymbals arrive, they're going to be more of a shiny brass, just like these. They just came out of the bag for the first time. You can see when they come out of the bag for the first time, very shiny and bright. And then over time, they will tarnish just a bit to have a nice patina on them. What you want to worry about is any green or discoloration that looks particularly strong in any one area, because that means that the metal is being damaged by the corrosion. So when it's time to clean your finger cymbals, you have to remove the elastic. Cleaning your finger cymbals with the elastic in, the chemicals that we're going to use are going to damage that elastic, so you'll want to replace that every single time. So we'll remove our elastic before we clean the finger cymbal. The product that I like the best is this product called Never Dull. You can often find it in the automotive section rather than in the cleaning supplies. And what it is like a wadded cotton that's been soaked in a chemical. And I prefer the wadded cotton to any kind of liquid brass polish because often our finger cymbals have this beautiful filigree pattern or something etched into it. And the liquid cleaners get down into those grooves and it's really hard to get it out. You have to get it out with a toothbrush or a toothpick. So I prefer this product. Regardless of what product you use, put on some gloves to protect yourself. So I'm going to get one glove ready to go, and you'll see that it's wadded cotton. I'm just going to pull out a piece that I was just using and practicing with. Have a little piece like so. Close it up. You'll want to do this in a well-ventilated area because it does smell. And on this half of the cymbal, you can see that it has a little bit of tarnish. And on the other half of the finger cymbal, you can see where I've started to clean. It's a lot brighter. And so I just hold the finger cymbal firmly and press and rub back and forth, back and forth. You can see that it's already brightening up. You can see all of the dirt and yuck that's been removed. And once you've done this section, you want to keep going until the whole thing is clean. All of the top and even all of the bottom you want to clean like that. And then I take a dry paper towel and just rub off the excess chemical, and it looks fantastic. Look at the difference. The only way to improve with your finger cymbals is to practice, but sometimes practicing at home can be a challenge. Cats do not like finger cymbals. Other family members pretty much don't like finger cymbals either. So to be able to practice at home and keep the peace at home, there are a couple different methods we can use. One, if you're crafty, there are many patterns available online to create little crocheted covers for your finger cymbals. You only need 2 to go with your set of 4 finger cymbals because when you clap them together, you'll only hear a little muffled noise. But if you're not crafty, you can maybe find a pair of cheap baby socks. And I'll put a baby sock on one finger cymbal and leave the other finger cymbal free. And I can still get the hand strengthening and dexterity that I need and practice my rhythmic patterns without driving everybody crazy. This can also come in handy on a day when you might have a headache but still feel like practicing. So it helps everybody and keeps you playing. Now that you've got your finger cymbals all put together, it's time to start learning to play. And I just want to give you a word of encouragement that you can learn to play finger cymbals and dance at the same time. If you can snap your fingers and dance to your favorite song, I feel really confident that you can do this. This is Bahaia signing off at Austin Belly Dance Studio. You can find us online at austinbellydance.com.